Nelson Mandela and the spirit of the Antichrist. I don't think Mandela is the Antichrist. I think he's being used by handlers to tell a story about the Antichrist. I'm not really sure what the purpose of it is. Maybe it's a rallying cry or something. But I'm making this video because there's very obvious use of 666 as well as other parallels of the beast as mentioned in the book of Revelation. Again, I don't think Nelson Mandela is the Antichrist. I'm just trying to point out some similarities and parallels between how Mandela is being used and the Antichrist. Okay, so let's talk about his prison number. This prison number is 466 and 64. So this is going to be the plausible deniability factor, which is favorable for people who want to refute the fact that they're using this as 666. While he had other prison numbers, they're basically unregarded. The focus has been on the 46664 number. Again, they call it 46664. No doubt because a lot of us know that 666 is the number of the beast, the Antichrist. So they want to maintain this plausible deniability, and it helps having the 4s at each side of the number so that they can refute anyone that calls them out for using 666. So when you see this Mandela event rolled out in practice, at the center of the stage, you see 3 spirals, which is 666. What happened to the 4s at each side of 666? The 6 chairs on the stage in front of 666 is supposed to really drive the point home that it is 666 in the background. If you look closely at the spirals, it doesn't just look like a 6 at the center of the spiral, but it's actually comprised of 6 loops each. So it is 666. Of course, Obama was there. Revelation 13:18. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, which is 666. The score is 20, so 3 of those is 60. So in this verse of scripture, it mentions, for it is the number of a man. I thought it was notable that Mandela's name starts by spelling man, which seems pretty frivolous, but when you see Mandela associated with 666, it makes you look a little bit closer. So taking a closer look, you see this phrase, it's in our hands, with this number 46664 and a hand. Anyone who's remotely familiar with Revelation should have red flags going off when you see this. It's clearly evoking the mark of the beast, and that it's in the right hand of the forehead. Revelation 13:16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. If you've read Revelation, you know 666 ain't about making a better world for everybody. And if those days of tribulation wasn't shortened, no flesh would be spared. Another point of interest is Mandela's day of service is on July 18th. 18 is 666. I don't think they really want you to be confused about this. And then you have this Mandela day of service little bracelet with what? 666 on it to wear on your hand. It's collectible. Here was the website. It says it's no joke. It's rather befitting that he has flames for a tattoo on his right hand with 666 on it. So they're making a very clear point that 666, right hand. But that ain't enough, because it's on the right hand or the forehead. So they got 46664 baseball caps so you can wear it on your forehead. This was not an isolated incident. I find this particularly astonishing. Revelation 13:1, and I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. What I want to point out there is upon his heads the name of blasphemy. John 10:33. The Jews answered him, saying, For a good work we stone thee not, but for blasphemy, and because thou, being a man, makest thyself God. Blasphemy is making yourself equal to God. So with this in mind, I thought it was interesting that when you add up the sum total of the digits of his prisoner number, 46664, it equals 26. When you use gematria where A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, God equals 26. So this number equates to the same value as God. I don't think that's a coincidence, and it's blasphemous if it's intentional, and I'm sure it is. So the next point of detail would be that Mandela was brought out of prison and he became a world icon. This reminded me of how the beast rises up out of the bottomless pit and becomes ruler of the world. The bottomless pit is referred to in the Bible as a prison. The bottomless pit is supposed to be the realm of the dead, the grave. And if he was to come back from the grave, you'd be coming out of the bottomless pit. So I thought it was interesting that there was a thing called the Mandela effect. If you haven't already heard about it, it's named after the phenomenon where many people claim to have remembered that Mandela died in prison and were later astonished that he was in fact alive. I don't want to get into the nuance or veracity of the Mandela effect. I only intend to highlight a parallel of the Mandela effect and the beast. Many people believed he was dead, having memories of conversations about it when they were in school and things like this, and were surprised to find out later he was actually alive. Revelation 13:3 describes how the Antichrist is supposed to receive a deadly head wound and appear to come back from the dead. So whether or not the Mandela effect is true or whatever, there is this parallel there that people thought he was dead and they were surprised to find out that he was actually alive. Revelation 13:3, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. So after Mandela came out of prison, I believe he became president of Africa or something. He became a world icon, and the world really adored and idolized Mandela, which is really a parallel of the Antichrist, that the world will accept him and they'll worship the Antichrist. In Revelation 13:14 it says, "And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by his sword and did live." So I thought it was interesting that they bothered to make this image, this idol of Mandela. So when all of these details are added together, they're clearly trying to evoke the spirit of the Antichrist. And if you haven't already, take a look at my other videos about phenords, the use of ovals as a mark of the beast, and how it's the spirit of the Antichrist at work in the world already.